Hello and welcome to my video. My name is Colin and I'm just going to give you a quick run through my application, starting with the UI and then going through some of the code. So I'm going to start with the sign up view. So this uses Firebase authentication. So I'm going to enter a new 123 at test.com. And sorry, I'll just show you my Firebase console first for authentication. You can see I only have one other user here, so that's test@test.com. So it's going to be a new user, 123456 as the password. And I'll sign up that user. And this should be now added to my Firebase console. So it automatically logs that user in also. And if I refresh this, I'm hoping I have a new user here. Yep, so 123@test.com. So next we are brought, so I might also just show the sign in. So I'm going to log out here and I'll log in for another user, test@test.com, just to show also that sign in is working. And I'll sign in here. And yeah, so I've successfully been signed in. So as you can see, all hikes are actually displayed here. So it's based around hikes. So the user can add a hike or they can edit a hike. So I've multiple hikes already here. I'll just demonstrate how I can delete a hike first of all. So as you can see, I'll delete that hike and it has been deleted. Next, I'll create a hike. So we can either create or edit hikes. So I'll just type in beach here and then nice beach. Unfortunately, my add image is broken. So I did have this working as part of the JSON store, but when I've updated to the Firestore database, unfortunately this broke. So I had to comment out the code for that. So my images aren't working with the app anymore with the Firestore database, unfortunately. Here I'll update the location. I'll just update it there, that's fine. And I'll set intermediate. And then we can set as the intermediate as a hike difficulty. And then I'll just set the number of kilometers that the hike is. So we'll just say 10 kilometers. And then we'll add that hike. And that should be added to my list. So when I go back into that, you should see all the details here. So the set location will be in the same place. So it saves the latitude and longitude there. And then also this should be set below. Sorry. So you can see 15 kilometers and the difficulty level is intermediate there. So I'll delete that hike. Next, I'd like to also show you this will display, so this maps feature will display all of the hikes. So this will display markers for all of the hikes that I've created in the application. And then I'd also like to show you, I've added a favorites feature here. So if I just show you my Firestore database first. So this is a Boolean value. And you can see in some of these hikes, it's already set. So I'll just take a look for this hike here. So this is test new 123456. And that's, so the favorite property is set to true for that particular hike. And if I update that, so we're looking again at the hike name test new 123456. And if I update that value, this should also update in my Firestore database here. So as you can see now, that value has been updated to false. So that just changes the value. And then once that's displayed as false, you'll see that this has been unchecked here. And then also the logout feature, unfortunately, my drop-down UI isn't displaying perfectly. Thank you very much. Next, I'd just like to take a look at some of the code. So seeing that we've implemented a Firestore database, I'd like to start with Hike Firestore. So this just has multiple functions that allow us to update our model. So the model will then be updated in the Firestore database. So if I go down to the model, we can see that our model is made up of certain properties and values. So we're just setting the values in the model for both the hike and then also the location as well. And then, of course, having added a Firestore database, we're also required to add DAO. So I have added hike DAO here. So it is just allowing us to make calls to be able to access our database. So if we're going to use create, and we're going to have, or find all, or any of these functions, we're going to have hike DAO. And then also we have the hike storeroom, which is just allowing us to be able to call the functions as well. So for instance, with find all, we can use the find all function in our storeroom and that'll be accessed with HikingTrails, and we can make these calls then. So next, I'd just like to take a look at some of my views. So due to the fact that I chose the MVP architecture route, I've removed a lot of my activities, which has been great. It feels like the code is much cleaner now that I have a bit of a separation there due to MVP. So I've removed a lot of the activities, and I'll just go through some of the views here. So for example, the hike view. So this is where I might create and edit the hike itself. As you can see, there's a separation here between the presenter and the view. So a lot of the functions here really are just contained in the presenter. And then I suppose a lot more of the work in displaying the actual data itself is done through the view, and also the on-click listeners also. So if we click a button or such other things, then this is more done in the view, and then they can call the functions from the presenter. The same is done for the hike list also. So this is just so just showing the hike. We're able to call that data and then display it in the hike view if it's in the edit view, for instance. Next, I'll just take a look at the hike list. So again, and we have that separation between adapter, the list presenter, and also the list view. So of course, the reason that we have the adapter here is just due to the fact that we're actually using the recycler view for our hike list. So we need to have a bit extra in here in terms of the adapter itself. So just going through some of the code here, you can see this is where I've also added the favorites button. So we just have the set unchecked change listener. So this is when we update the favorite Boolean value, and also in the presenter as well. We just have, again, a lot of our functions here. So this is just the function that I've added. So the update fave function, and then the view again. So as I mentioned before, I'm really just for clicking and displaying the data to the user. We also have our maps and our sign-in. So again, I've done this a little bit differently to the way we did it in the lab. So I just wanted to have a separation here between sign in and sign up. So they're two different views. So I've kind of made a separation here between sign in and sign up, so the user can sign up to the application first of all. Sorry. And they also have the opportunity then to sign in with two separate views as opposed to the way it was done in the lab. So lastly, I'd just like to take a look at some of the layouts here. So of course, the layouts are bound to our views. So for example, with the hike list view, we have the data binding activity list binding. So this just binds our view to our layout. So going through some of the layouts here, I won't go through these in too much detail, but they're just creating the display or the design for the actual application itself. So we have a view. So we have a layout for each of the different views then as well. So our sign in, sign up, we also have the splash screen for when the application is run, and multiple different layouts. And then of course, we also have our menus. So these are just the toolbar menus, the menu main being the toolbar for the hike list view, and then the menu hike being the toolbar for the, edit hike or create hike view. So that's really all of the code there. And thank you for listening to me today.